Personality disorders are interesting and unique in the way they operate. Born partially from genetics and part trauma, they become instilled in a child in such a way it may impact them for life. This caused a lot of confusion in my teen years. I knew something was wrong or different, but what? Was it bipolar? Was it social anxiety? Am I depressed? Well, sometimes, but nothing seemed to really fit or describe me in a specific way I truly resonated with. I've always obsessed over how I was perceived. It went beyond self-consciousness. If every human being I ever interacted with could describe me with every thought they ever had in the most detailed way, well, let's just say my dream superpower would be mind reading. That or having the Evil Queen's magic mirror. I've always been deeply fascinated by psychology from years as young as 6th grade. For a while, I only knew of the most recognized disorders: depression, dyslexia, anxiety, bipolar, anorexia, insomnia, and schizophrenia. I would by no means claim to be an expert on any of those conditions, but I was fairly more educated than most my age. By the time high school came around, I became interested in personality disorders, particularly cluster B personality disorders. As of me writing this, there are currently 10 recognized personality disorders, all separated into 3 categories. Cluster A, characterized by eccentricity, often associated with schizophrenia or any other kind of psychotic disorder. These characteristics may be social withdrawal, bizarre beliefs, difficulty forming close relationships, and probable paranoia. 3 personality disorders that encompass Cluster A would be a paranoid personality disorder, schizoid personality disorder, and schizotypal personality disorder. Cluster B is a series of emotional personality disorders. Behaviors seen by this group tend to be impulsive, dramatic, erratic, or unpredictable. Just hearing this list may lead you to assume just why it might be tricky to be diagnosed as a suffering teenager with an invisible disability. Cluster B includes antisocial personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and our main subject, narcissistic personality disorder. Last but most certainly not least would be Cluster C personality disorders, the anxious type of disorders. Folks with Cluster C may struggle with feelings of inadequacy, thought patterns peppered with anxiety and fear, and the inability to get through everyday responsibilities without proper accommodations. The disorders that make up this category are avoidant personality disorder, dependent personality disorder, which I was actually misdiagnosed with, so put a pin in that, and obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. Let me just go on about dependent personality disorder, because I actually forgot to write it into my script, but yes, I was misdiagnosed with that when I was like 15, and I do believe that was incredibly misguided because this was during the COVID era where I was in quarantine and very socially withdrawal, as most people probably were. And I thought it resonated with me because of the emotional dependency, but you'll see why that doesn't really fit here. And the last one of Cluster C would be obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, not to be confused with obsessive-compulsive disorder, otherwise known as OCD. In the beginning of high school, my knowledge was half-baked at best. It wouldn't be until February 2022, my junior year in high school, when I would uncover a great discovery about myself. Loving to learn about psychological conditions and the people with them experiences, I stumbled onto a tag on Tumblr. I know, Tumblr, but whatever. Hashtag actually NPD. The only prior knowledge about NPD I had was, unfortunately, incredibly stigmatizing TikTok videos. It is garbage! All of it! All of it is garbage! And I knew better than to judge an entire demographic of people based on short-sighted anecdotes. So, I wanted to hear the narcissistic experiences from people with the condition! Crazy concept, I know! But, what I would come to find was, wait, I thought these were all normal experiences? You can't understand other people's perspectives? You literally think you are the main character? You are special and unique and nobody understands it, or so you think. You hold high stake in other people's perceptions of you. You can go from feeling like a god to actually scum of the earth. You believe you are a god? Wait, what the fuck? And just like that, the missing puzzle piece I had been scrambling for came to me in the palm of my hand. Sifting through my memories, everything began to make so much sense. Now that I know the root cause, what now? Sure, over the last few years, I've been able to more closely manage my symptoms, but where do we go from here? From February 2022 onward, I would be able to tell if a narc crash was coming. That initial sense of euphoria, like I've been pumped with drugs, soaring just to crash down at the slightest comment. Sometimes it didn't even have to come from other people. The call was coming from inside the house, the voice screaming at me that I'm not worth a damn. Remember, personality disorders often form from trauma, as did mine. Not receiving the support I needed at a young age, my brain went all or nothing. Every good thing I did, it made me a golden star. But every bad thing I did, I was now rotten to the core, of course. I can see the crashes in the distant valley, but that doesn't mean they hit any less hard. You still see the collision's effects. Now, when I have that narc high, I try and ride it as far as I can, although I'm afraid of one thing only. I remember saying this to myself a few times in my life. If I feel so good now, just how bad will I feel when I fall? And that is frightening. Every low feels like my rock bottom, but I surprise myself again and again, going to places I never thought I'd see. Life's already tough being an average person, especially in today's current climate, but the way my brain catastrophizes anything and everything, sometimes it's unbearable, and it can be hard to sit there and wonder what kind of person I would have been without the mistreatment. If people in my life respected children and saw them as autonomous beings more than an accessory to take you with you to the store. But it's me, and I am who I am because of all these things, good or bad. It wouldn't be until 2024 when I would be officially diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. Though I've been aware of it for an incredibly long time, since I was 16. But it's been incredibly validating. Not to mention the medical treatment I've been receiving. It may not be perfect, as my mind tries to train me to be, but it is gradually getting better. I am more than grateful to have introspection and to recognize my symptoms and get a diagnosis in my early adulthood, as opposed to being like 40 and having kids or something. One thing I would like to leave this video off on is this. For the love of God, stop stigmatizing NPD. Narcissists are not abusive, cartoonishly evil monsters or Disney villains, and half the people y'all say are narcissists don't even have NPD. We're not saying narcissists in reference to NPD. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. You cannot separate those two. That's like saying you aren't using autistic as an insult when it's clearly in a derogatory context. This topic can be in a whole nother essay, but I'm going to cut it here so I don't get too heated. In short, if you see someone stigmatizing a health condition, any health condition, physical or mental, whatever, call them out. Ableism is not fucking cool. Point blank period. And yeah, that's my video. I mean, my fucking username is Narcangel. I've been pretty open about having NPD, but and I made a video about it recently, but I just wanted to talk about it a little bit more because it is an invisible disorder. And when I get more situated with my life, I'll talk more about what I've been doing through the last 2 years. But it makes my work and what I do very hard to do, and because of that, I'm having to go a different route in my life, which really sucks, because when you want something, you want to make the most out of it and do what you can do to achieve it. But sometimes you just can't handle certain things, and you can't change the way your brain works. Like, if I could keep going, I would, but I can't change the way my mind works, at least not instantly. It's gonna take years, and I recognize that. It's been getting better over the years, you know, but it's still an invisible disorder. That's what makes it tough, because you can't see it, and so people might think, like, oh, you're just not strong enough, like, you just need to try harder. It's more than that. It's a lot of things, and it's not my fault. But I am doing my best. Alright, I'll see y'all around.